All right, so we talked about Jamestown. Now, in 1672, we see another joint stock company begin. And this is unbelievable to think about today's world. But the joint stock company that begins is called the Royal African Company. The Royal African Company. The Royal African Company, their business is slaves. The Royal African Company is an English company. The British government basically approved them. They were made into a joint stock private company whose basic job was to go to Africa or to buy from slave traders and to sell slaves for profit. They sold Africans as private property. So Jamestown, a place like Jamestown or other colonies, they can now talk to the Royal African Company and they can buy their workers from them. So just think about this for a minute. In Liverpool, England, it's an industrial city in northern England. In Liverpool, England, there are people who are going to work every day. There's probably a guy who's an accountant who's going to work every day in Liverpool doing the books on, let's see if our slave business is profitable. How much money are we making? Just collecting all the data on it. And they go home, have their family, and this is a regular job at this time. There are many, many people, there are investors who are like, oh yeah, that slave business is supposed to be a good way to make money. Who are investing money in the Royal African Company as a joint stock company. So, kidnap African slaves, bring them to the Caribbean and Brazil are the two main places. The Caribbean and Brazil are the two main places where most of the African slaves go. In North America, approximately 600,000 Africans are brought to America. And these are the first African Americans. So about 600,000 Africans are brought to America. That is out of a total of somewhere between 9.5 and 10 million total Africans who are kidnapped and put into slavery in the Americas. North, South, Central America, Caribbean. The overwhelming majority of these Africans are sent to the Caribbean and also Brazil. And again, this is why much of the population of places like Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic they're the descendants of African slaves. So again, these slaves, Africans start off as indentured servants. Then they're brought in, and the labor for a place like Jamestown is incredibly cheap. And the investors in Jamestown are then able to make a profit because they're selling Africans as private property. You see one problem with capitalism? There is a problem with capitalism and private property. The big question is, what can be private property? When capitalism began in the 1600s, people could be. Some would make an argument that still may exist today because we still have problems with prostitution, sex trafficking, and that's really selling someone's body as private property in a way. All right, so let's continue here. Here's an amazing thing, though. When we go back to Portugal, where we started with this chapter, and we talk about Portugal going to Africa, when the Portuguese first get to West Africa, what do they say about the African cities? Go ahead.
They were more advanced and they were advanced civilized, I think.
Yeah, they were just as advanced, if not more advanced, than the cities of Europe at that time in the 1400s. So what happens in the 1600s? How can Portugal and West Africa be equal trading partners, which is pretty much what they are in the 1400s? How can they be trading partners? And then in the 1600s, and yes, there were some slaves traded in the 1400s, but the numbers were way, way lower. And it was more like how the regular slavery worked in West Africa. How could these numbers explode so much in the 1600s? What caused this? Why did it change? If we look at our timeline, what we learned about, what happens to a lot of the African empires, mainly the Songhai Empire in 1590. it falls. The Moroccans take them over because they have better technology, better guns. So Africa does take a step back, West Africa. Also, though, what happens is there becomes just a change of like, well, we can take these people far away. And eventually what happens is for many of the Europeans, they change their mindset from, well, these are equal trading partners, equal people, to these aren't even people. They rationalize it. What they do is they have to dehumanize. They dehumanize the African population and make them seem like, well, they're not people like you and me. They don't hurt the same way we do. It's not like we're taking regular people. And this is how we get a lot of the racism that will persist with slavery, calling Africans inferior, which will continue up until all the way through slavery, and in some places still today. All right, let me tell you about another place that begins, and this is called the Massachusetts Bay Company. The Massachusetts Bay Company. Now, the Massachusetts Bay Company, this is the one that was in Plymouth. This starts in Plymouth in 1620. The Massachusetts Bay Company was founded by a man named John Winthrop. It was founded by a man named John Winthrop. His goal was, he took a Bible verse, I don't know it exactly, but it says you were supposed to build a city on the hill for everyone to see, that it can't be hidden. The goal was, for the Massachusetts Bay Company, these were Protestant Christians. They were called Puritans. They were called Puritans. The reason why they were called Puritans is because they wanted to practice a pure version of Christianity. They were from England, and they wanted to break away from the Anglican Church, or the Church of England. They wanted to break away. They thought the Church of England was corrupt. They didn't want to be a part of it. So they broke away, and they wanted to form an idealistic, utopian, perfect society in America, in the New World. And so they said, it's going to be a city on a hill. We'll be an example for everyone. Everyone will be able to see us. And if they can see us, we can't hide anything. We'll have to live a perfect Christian life. And therefore, everyone else around us, well, they'll copy us. They'll do what we do. So the Massachusetts Bay Company is different than Jamestown in a lot of ways. One way is it's trying to live a pure Christian life, and private property is not number one. However, if they can make a profit, and God blesses them and they can make some money, they're okay with it. Like if we make a profit, good. It's not what our mission is, but if we make a profit, God blesses us with that, so be it, is the mindset of the Massachusetts Bay Company. So this is how America gets its beginning. America gets its beginning as both a business, a corporation, Jamestown, which goal was to make money off tobacco, still was. And also America has the Massachusetts Bay Company, which is a religious group that wants to come and wants to purify and make a better world. So you have a mix of immigrants coming over from Europe, from England, some trying to make money, trying to get opportunity, some trying to find religious freedom and practice the religion the way they wanted to. In addition to that, you also have the American Indians who are already living there and have lived there, many who are dying from the effects of disease. And you have Africans, first brought in as indentured servants, but the overwhelming majority become slaves. So what's America at this point? America is a diverse society that has a lot of interest in business and making a profit. It's a place where at this time, if you're white and poor, you can have ability to move up in the world. No religion. There's people who believe in different religions. Yeah, in a real mixed society. This is how America begins. Does this kind of sound like where kind of America is in some ways today? Better or for worse, this is what America is. All right, let's keep on going. And we'll talk about a little bit about mercantilism. Actually, let's stop. I'm talking a lot. Let's pause for a moment.